Do you ever find that life just gets in the way of your spiritual practice?
If you would like to learn about fairy folklore, delve into modern fairy faith spirituality, and explore fun and fanciful fairy-themed events, please subscribe to Fairy Fortunes for new videos every Friday.
Hello, my fair friends. I'm Ruby Ruse, and welcome to Fairy Fortunes. On today's episode, I wanted to share 5 tips I have for you to bring some spiritual practice back into a life that's chaotic and busy and crazy. Because I don't know about you, but I have been so busy lately. I've been stressed out. I've been having these crazy dreams. It's like insane. I'm going to start out with my most favorite magical tip for you. And that is taking mundane elements of your own life and turning them into magical tools. These tools are actually based on the Wiccan tools, but if you have different tools like a cauldron or like a scythe or different things, you can think about those types of tools and bring them into your mundane world as well. I'm actually not Wiccan, but Wiccan tools are very much a mainstream, I think, in Western magical practice. So I highly recommend that you maybe incorporate some of these ideas into your practice as well. This idea actually had been introduced to me way back in 2002, I think. That was when I met my very first magical teacher who was outside of my own family. Her name was Karen Jackson, and she was the head of the Temple of the Four Winds in Chicago. Unfortunately, the Temple of the Four Winds is no more because Karen Jackson actually sadly passed on away from this world. May she journey on. But when I was in that magical class of hers, she was the one that introduced me to the Wiccan tools. And in the context of her class, she encouraged us to create those tools from mundane items. And 2002 was also the year that I joined the police department. So in the police world, my athame became my police knife. A lot of police officers actually do carry knives. They're usually not used for weapons. These are more commonly used to remove crime scene tape. And now if this is now charged as a magical tool, when I'm cutting down the crime scene tape, I'm releasing that frantic energy. I'm cutting the cords from that devastating scene and giving a wish that all those parties involved are able to move forward. My wand became my flashlight, and I really love that because the light from my wand cuts through the darkness. My chalice I made from my thermos. I almost always have a thermos with me at work, and sometimes there's coffee in it, but usually I will have water in this thermos. And when this is my magical chalice, this is a tool of replenishment for me. It washes away all of the energies that I absorb from what I'm witnessing in my world as a police officer. It helps me to ground and connects me to emotions that are uniquely mine and helps me wash away emotions that I've picked up from other people. So having this as, and you can see that it's pretty, I've had it for a while now. So it's gotten a lot of use, this thing, so it's good. And finally, my pentacle for my police job became my actual star. So I'm lucky that in my municipality that we actually do use a 5-pointed star. So that is my absolute favorite way to bring in your spiritual practice into a busy life. So if you were an office worker, you could literally take that saying, the pen is mightier than the sword, and turn a pen that you use frequently into your wand. And now every document that you have to sign, every note that you take becomes a magical process. You could turn a pair of scissors into an athame, and every time that you use it to cut things, you are setting those boundaries, and you are designating what is to be connected and what is to be released. You could even turn a 3-hole punch into a kind of athame, because you're setting those lines and firming those boundaries and putting things together as they should be. A lamp at your desk could also be a wand for you, because it is, once again, a tool that will break through things, that will shine a light in the darkness, if you will. There's hundreds of ways that you could incorporate magical tools into an office setting or into any kind of job that you're doing. There are hundreds of ways that you can take mundane items and in your mind's eye, turn them into magical tools that you can bring some of that magic and your spiritual life into the rest of your world and be connected. My second suggestion for you to bring your spiritual life into your mundane life is to incorporate pieces of jewelry as spiritual items. So for example, the earrings that I'm wearing today. I bought these earrings actually when I first started my American Fae series. I was traveling to Arizona and I wanted to make this video on a fairy-like being that lived in Arizona. But I really didn't have room at the time to take my big wings with me on the plane. And so I wanted to come up with an outfit that made me feel like my magical self. And one of the things that I included in that first outfit were these earrings. But there's more to the story. Every time I wear these earrings, invariably one of my earrings always goes missing, and it's just, I always feel so bad, and I'm like, oh, I love those earrings, I love them, they were my favorite earrings, and now I can't wear them because I'm missing one of them. I lost one of these earrings for the longest time, and I was so very sad actually, and it was actually right before I was going to Arizona to film that video. I kid you not, the day I was literally on my way to the airport, and as I'm walking out the door of my house, there on the patio, if you will, is the earring. And I personally believe that the fairies were like, oh, here's your earrings that you wanted to wear in Arizona to be your fairy self while you're recording this video in Western clothing. And so whenever I wear these earrings, I think of the fairy spirits and how much they mean to me and how honored I am to work with them and how grateful I am that they are a part of my life. And so these always just make me happy when I wear them. But I'm very cautious because one always goes missing when I wear them. So another thing that I would suggest that you try is doing a bullet journal. Now, the bullet journal practice has really taken off on YouTube. There's wonderful videos all over YouTube that you can find on bullet journals, and specifically spiritual and pagan-minded bullet journals. One of my friends on YouTube, Rebecca Gretchel, does these amazing bullet journals where she does all of this beautiful artwork. Another friend that does beautiful bullet journal artwork is Beanbag Hagwag. I will have links to their channels down below so you can check out what they're doing with their bullet journals. However, in a crazy life, in a crazy life, I would say keep it simple. Keep it simple. What I've started doing is simply using an Excel spreadsheet. It seems like it's so like sterile. But for me, it's a spiritual practice. Not everything spiritual has to be beautiful. The focus should be more on making it functional. And how I use this bullet journal practice, especially when I'm really crazy busy in my mundane life, I start to feel out of sorts, and I feel like I'm not pursuing my own desires, I'm not fulfilling my spiritual goals, that kind of thing. And so by doing a bullet journal, a true bullet journal, where you're just writing down like line items, line items, I use it to record things that I've actually accomplished. So at the end of the day, I'll just quickly jot down projects that I've accomplished during the day so that I remember that I am a productive member of society, that I do contribute, and my life has meaning and purpose. And I really try to focus on things that I've accomplished, because especially when I get busy, if I start making these really lengthy to-do lists, I just get overwhelmed and depressed, which doesn't motivate me or help me or uplift me or move me forward into a spiritual practice. Now, the bullet journal is really kind of a utilitarian kind of practice. Like I said, an Excel spreadsheet probably feels a little sterile. It's very magical to me. Excel is magic. Thank you. But it's not the most exciting of magical practices. So another suggestion that I have for you is to do a one-card pull of your favorite divination system, or one rune, or whatever divination system you use. Just do one card, one rune, and make it really fast and easy. So if you're following me on Facebook especially, I do this, although I do occasionally put them on Instagram as well, is that every night I do a one card fairy fortune reading. What I try to do is I look at the card that I've pulled for that day, and I just think about that card in terms of like what's going on in my life right now, like what happened today, what images does this card bring up for me. And I don't worry so much about the written meaning of the card. I go with my gut instinct, the emotion that comes from the card right then, right there. And then I use Facebook to record these quick thoughts. But you could also, that could be another thing that you add in your bullet journal. Like you pull a card and you're like, oh, I got Puella the Perry today. I instantly see that there's a lot of spinning in this card. Maybe I need to make sure that I take time to relax and sit down for a minute, and that's what this card is bringing up for me today. And then you would note that in, like I said, in like a calendar, an Excel spreadsheet, maybe even a handwritten journal that you just quickly make a note about it. And that way you're doing something magical and something spiritual. What I really love about doing those one card pulls, it gives you guidance and insight and deeper connections to your divination system that go beyond the common answers that everybody knows and has. The final suggestion that I have for you has to do with meditation. I really believe that meditation is a cornerstone of magical and spiritual practice. But meditation doesn't have to be an hour. Meditation doesn't have to be a half an hour. Meditation doesn't even have to be 20 minutes. I mentioned Karen Jackson. She was one of the most powerful magical influences in my life. I miss her so much. She was such a great lady. Karen Jackson advocated that you meditate only for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's it. That's all you need. And I would have to agree with that. That's all you need. And she said, if you can't make it to 10, then do 5. If you can't do 5, do 4. And work up to it. See if you can do 5 for 1 week, and then the next week you move up to 6. And then the next week you move up to 7 minutes. And just gradually get yourself to 10, or maybe 7 is enough for you. She was amazing. Sometimes it's even difficult to find those 5, 7, 10 minutes where you can sit down alone. That can be really, really challenging, especially if you have children or you're giving care to elderly people in your life or whatever. Sometimes even finding 5 minutes just to breathe can be challenging. So what I suggest is, if you truly don't have those minutes, which the reality is that some of us really don't have those minutes, I would suggest doing a gratitude meditation when you're falling asleep at night. So basically what I do, and I wish that I did this every night, because I find that the nights that I do this practice, I wake up so refreshed the next day. So I really should do this every night, but I don't. I essentially count gratitudes like I'm counting sheep. So I will think of things like, I'm grateful for my cats. I'm grateful for my son's laughter. I'm grateful for this comfortable bed that I'm laying in. And I keep listing off gratitudes until I fall asleep. Because, you're going to bed anyway. You have to go to bed eventually. If you liked this video, I think that you would also really enjoy my video on gratitude and my fairy faith, which explains more in depth the gratitude practice that I just talked about. For even more content, be sure to follow me on social media. All of my handles are listed for you down below in the description box. And also, please visit my website, www.fairyfortunes.com, where you'll find readings offered for sale, products, blog articles, and even lists of my performances and appearances. And with that, have a magical day.